Okay, let's get into the practice platform. Activity-based costing is a subject matter of chapter 2, labeled cost accounting. Remember, this will not be tested in exam session C. So I count it as a paper-based exam part of it anyway, of the exams. There are 9 questions there, objective test revision questions on chapter 2. Then on cases, brick by brick, Berkeley Hill, they are both past exam questions rewritten as section B kind of questions. Friends, 9 questions here. I'm not sure we have to do all 9. Let's do a few of them and see. I don't remember answering Curtis with you, but let's do Curtis and see. Let me see here the question 30. Question 30 of this. Let me make a note for myself to look for again when compiling this notes. Okay, that's for my own attention. Friends, you need 3.6 minutes in the exams. But for the sake of our time, I'll give you 2 minutes. What amount should be charged to each copy, so per unit, of item 2145 for setup costs? Setup here would be one of our overhead costs. We attribute overhead costs to products by means of absorption. Activity-based costing is a modern method for absorption of overheads. And so activity-based costing is said to be based on absorption costing principles, not marginal costing principles. Friends, let me give you 2 minutes. I'm right here. Test yourself, your understanding, and I'll come back and we'll do it together. In other words, just do something briefly and let's see what's up with it. My objective was to get you started before I come in. The cost is $80,000 for setup. Activity-based costing absorbs overheads on the basis of cost drivers. You need to use judgment in PM here to determine that if in 1 month, the total cost is 80,000, you're going to set up the machine 200 times, then the absorption rate is $400 per setup. $400 per setup of machines. So if item 2145, whatever that is, has to be printed in batches of 50 copies, where each batch requires the machine to be set up twice. And Curtis expects the annual demand for item 2145 to be 5,000 copies. Now, 5,000 copies produced in batches of 50. Friends, we've come to meet batches thing again. After doing Sweet Treats Bakery and the cakes were produced in batches. How many 50 copies are in 5,000 copies? 100. So it means that item 2145, whatever that is, will be charged under ABC. Well, you're going to have, let's read this again. Item 2145 has to be printed in batches of 50 copies, where each batch requires the machine to be set up twice. Okay. 100 batches, machines will be set up twice. So we're talking about 200 batches. All right. Okay. Sorry. 100 batches. Machines will be set up twice. So we are talking about 200 setups. Please, sorry about that. 100 batches. Each batch, machines are set up twice. So 100 times 2, 200 setups times $400. $80,000. What does it come up to the whole of the 80,000 again? Wow. All right. The question is about per unit. So 80,000 divided by 5,000 copies. Answer is $16. So 16. Friends, just one moment, guys. When I come back and you have a question, ask please. Just a moment. Let me just do something at home here. Okay. So let's confirm this. I'm set up on correct. How do you call it? Review. So it has reviewed for me. Show me the calculations. Friends, on your own, please do this many times. What's the warehousing cost for the first day of operations for the period? We saw a question where the emphasis was on one activity, setup. So we calculated setup cost. It looks like here is on another activity, warehousing. There's a reason the examiner writes the requirement in bold. Exam technique, read that first. What is the warehousing cost for the first day of operations for the period? MCO uses ABC system. The budgeted cost for warehousing for the next 6 months are 356,014, of which 215,414 is regarding handling receipts of materials. The balance is for the issue of goods to production. All right, so within the same period where we have handling as an activity within warehousing, the cost is 215,414. And we've got issue of goods. So the issue cost is the remainder. Have you found that? $356,014 minus 215,414. The remainder is 140,600. In the same period, it's expected that there will be 3,700 receipts and 2,500 issues. So I'm dividing this, I'm absorbing this over 2,500 issues. Judgment is required of you in paper PM to decide what drives the cost of what activity. I've got $56.24 per issue. And I'm dividing this by 3,700 receipts because it is when items are received that cost for handling. So divide by 3,700 receipts. And I'm getting $58.22 per receipt. On the first day of operations for the period, the company processed 14 receipts and 6 issues. So on day 1, first day, handling costs is going to be $58.22 per receipt times 14 receipts. So activity-based costing says the more the activity for a day or for a unit or for a product or whatever, the more overhead cost must be charged. Issue on the basis of $56.24 per issue times the number of issues on day one, 6 issues, got 337.44. So what's the total overhead cost in the warehousing department made up of activity handling, activity issue? How much was it on the first day? Answer A deals with only handling costs in warehousing, so it's incorrect. The question is about the warehousing cost. And so that's answer B. Answer A deals with only the issue cost, so it's incorrect. The requirement is the warehousing cost, which is made up of both handling and issue. So you add them up. $1152.52. That's option D. Friends, objective test questions. Don't be in a rush. Make sure you read the thing well. Next time you can get this question and it's not asking you for the warehousing cost. It's just narrowing it down to one of the activities in the warehouse. So it's asking you for the handling cost only. When you go and select D, you are incorrect. Or it's asking you for the issue cost only in the warehousing department. When you go and select 815.08 B, you'll be incorrect. So it's important to take your time to read. That is why anybody who just rushes with objective test questions, saying to themselves that, oh, this objective test, let me spend all of the time on section C. I can come back here and do some work quickly. That's a lie. Wrong exam approach for that. Any questions, guys? Correct answer is D. Correct. Continue. More detailed questions. Friends, exam technique. One question in which there are many lines, highly likely that's a question that will waste my time, even if I've mastered activity-based costing well for the exams. So I probably do not want to do this quickly or early. RS Company has recently introduced an activity-based costing system. What is the budgeted machine setup cost per unit of product X? Friends, machine setup. This was what I was telling you one moment ago. All manner of costs are given to you, including machine setup and processing. Anybody who doesn't read the requirement well and analyzes both costs is likely to get his or her answer in the options. What's the budgeted machine setup? So the emphasis is on only setup cost. So spending time doing processing is a complete waste of time. RSCO has recently introduced an ABC system. RSCO manufactures 2 products, details of which are given below. Question is on product X. So first thing I've got to do is to calculate the overhead absorption rate for machine setup. Only that one. The annual cost for the 2 activities, machine setup, 180,000. That's my only worry now. Judgment is required. in deciding what drives the cost of machine setup? Machine setup per batch. Listen carefully to the examiner. Machine setup per batch. If I'm doing 80,000 units of product R and the batch size is 100, I'm doing 800 batches. And for product S, 60,000 units and the batch size is 50. I'm doing 1,200 units. Sorry, 1,200 batches. Apologies for that. So in all, I am doing 1,200 plus 800, 2,000. I'm doing 2,000 batches. They said machine setup per batch. Well, 3 machine setups to do a batch, like the question we solved, Sweet Treats Bakery. Going into the oven once is a setup. So each setup, that's a batch. Each batch will set up ovens 3 times, that kind of thing. That's a batch, and each batch will set up ovens 3 times. But in that question, ovens were set up once for every batch. But here, 3 setups for each batch. So you're going to have 2,400 setups. $1,200 batches. 3 setups per batch is 3,600 setups. So 6,000 setups in all. $180,000 divided by 6,000 setups is $30 per setup. So to answer the question, for product S, setup cost is $30 per setup times product S, 3,600 setups. It's it's $108,000. Question says per unit. So simple maths, divide by 60,000 units of S. $1.80 per unit of product S. 1.80. That gives me answer option B. Friends, I recommend to you to go do these things over and over again. Okay. Paper PM is not all about calculations only. So we've got to take care of narratives as well. True or false questions. Every true or false must be selected correctly. Okay, Tahiru, I've seen your charge. All right. Have a nice day, and I'll work on these notes and videos and share quickly. I hope the efforts I'm putting in, putting the notes and videos together, you're actually making use of them. I go to the YouTube page, I don't see a lot of views. Well, that tells me people are not using it. So if they are not using it, then I shouldn't be spending too much time on it. But I will do my job anyway. So yeah, I'll get this ready for you soon. True or false, identify by clicking by selecting the relevant boxes in the table below whether the following statements regarding ABC are true or false. You want to think through this for me? ABC recognizes that some overhead costs do not depend directly on the volume of output. Of course, that's true. All right. Okay, yeah, this issue about you can't access the videos on phones, I think, sorry about that. I don't know how to fix that. Thank you for the reminder. I'll ask somebody who is on who works on, who knows a lot about YouTube videos. It's unfortunate if it cannot be fixed, then you have to watch them on your computers. But all right, I'll try something myself again. But in the meantime, please be watching them on your computer. Sorry about that, but I'll find out. ABC recognizes some overhead costs do not depend directly on the volume of output. Of course, that is true because some overhead costs that you cannot attribute to activities, you say they depend on volumes. But of course, majority of costs will not depend on production volumes or labor hours or machine hours. They will depend on activities and activity cost drivers. So this is true. The cost of implementing ABC may exceed the benefits for some businesses. Yes, especially those businesses whose overhead costs are minimum. They are minimal. So using ABC and spending a lot of money is a waste of time. Just continue a waste of time and waste of money. So just continue absorbing overheads traditionally. If overhead costs are not very important, they are not very material. So the cost of implementing ABC may exceed the benefits for some businesses. That is true. So both statements are true. And if you go through the study hub, the explanations are given, just as I tried to give you the explanations here. Okay. I mentioned to you the importance of not rushing objective test questions and thinking that, I solved a question like this before. This was the way I did it. So I'm going to do this one also the same. No. As much as possible, ACCA examiners try to prevent memorized work. The budgeted overheads of Nambroco for the next year have been analyzed as follows. Using activity-based costing, what is the overhead cost per unit? So in this question, the emphasis is not on purchase order processing or production run setup or machine running costs. It's on all of them. Solutions to ABC begin with calculating overhead absorption rates for the different activities. You are doing this on paper in the exams. So you are not writing everything I'm typing now. You just write it the way you understand it, and that's enough. Be careful about the thousands at the top. Use them. Judgment is required in PM to decide what drives the cost of purchase order processing. It's anticipated that machines will run for 32,000 hours. 6,000 purchase orders will process. I think number of purchase orders processed will drive purchase order processing cost. $75 per order process, per purchase order. Production run setup, $180,000 divided by, I think the number of production runs will drive production run setup cost. Judgment is required here. Divided by 450 is $400 per production run. For me, if I write it per something, it makes it more reasonable for me to analyze. So I love to write that. I don't just write a dollar. Machine running, $640,000 divided by machines will run for 32,000 hours. So I got $20 per machine hour. If I write my rates like this, it's easier for me to analyze them. Using ABC, what's the overhead cost per unit of the product? So one of the company's products is produced in batches of 500. So 500 units in a batch. We are meeting a lot of batch things this morning. Each batch requires a separate production run, 30 purchase orders, and 750 machine hours. $75 per purchase order. Each batch requires 30 purchase orders. So that product will be charged $2,250. For purchase order processing. And production run setup at the rate of $400 per production run. We are told each batch requires a separate production run, so times 1. Machine running at the rate of $20 per machine hour. Each batch requires 750 machine hours. Activity-based costing is about each driver of cost. The more you consume it, the more overhead cost we charge to you. That's why we are using the rate. The requirement is about the total overhead. $15 plus 2, 17. So that is $17,650 per unit. Simple maths. $17,650 divided by, there are 500 units in that batch. So spread 17,650 over 500 units, and you are getting $35.30 per unit. And that's answer option C. The way you see these questions here, you can see it again like that, but look, it might be fill in the blank. where you just type in 35.30. The dollar is outside the box, so you type that in and walk away. Answer option C is being confirmed. This question 6 now. I've got 6 minutes remaining on my clock. This is probably our last round of 40 minutes, but we'll just answer it up to where we can get to. We'll check out, come back, and then have a couple of announcements. I'll tell you the things I want you to be doing, and then we'll close for the morning. The following statements have been made about ABC. Which of the statements is or are correct? Friends, you want to think through this? Introducing ABC will always reduce costs in the short term. You think this is true or is false? ABC itself is expensive to implement. We saw for one of the questions already. Sometimes the cost of implementing ABC can exceed the benefits, especially when your overhead costs are not huge and you produce similar range of products. In that case, ABC will always reduce costs in the short term cannot be true, because sometimes it can increase your cost. 2, if the cost of a product or service using both ABC and absorption costing is the same, there will be no benefit to be gained from adopting ABC. Of course, ABC is expensive to run. So whether I do traditional absorption based on machine hours or labor hours or production volumes, or I do ABC and the results are the same, then of course there's no benefit to be gained from adopting ABC. I think so. There will be no benefit. It's to be a complete waste of time. No benefit to be gained. So that statement is true. Introducing ABC will always reduce cost. That statement is not true. So 2 only is correct. Oh, I'm told that is incorrect. Let's see. Tutorial note. 1 is incorrect, as some costs will be fixed in the short term. Okay, so we already said 1 is incorrect. Fine. 2 is incorrect, as ABC will provide a greater insight into the causes of cost. This will allow managers to exercise greater control of cost by focusing attention on managing the causes of cost. All right, that's a fact. Let me understand this again. If the cost of a product or service using ABC, both ABC and absorption costing is the same, there will be no benefit to be gained from adopting ABC. And my argument was that yes, because you get the same results. Okay, the book is thinking differently. It's thinking beyond what I've just thought about. And let me explain. I agree with the book. It's saying that the results are the same anyway, but with ABC, you can still gain more insight into what is giving birth to cost. So you can control those things and thereby reduce your cost in the long term. Because of that, to say that no benefit will be gained is not true. If this statement has said little benefit will be gained, yes, then we should agree. I agree with the book, absolutely. So apologies for that error by me. So no benefit to be derived is not true, because you can still derive some benefit, and the benefit is that ABC exposes you more to what causes costs. And so you can actually go into that and deal with costs rather than, and deal with the root causes of costs rather than just sitting down and incur the cost. So yes, I agree with the book, absolutely. So 2 is also not correct. So neither 1 nor 2 is correct. I agree with the book correctly. Absolutely. Okay, I've got 2 minutes remaining. Question 7, what is the distribution cost for the customer? I may not have to do this with you. See, you've got total distribution costs split between transport and order processing. You've got to work for transport and order processing and analyze the two to give you the total distribution cost. So, yeah, the question is not about only transport costs or order processing, it's about distribution costs. You've got to do the 2 and add up. And then let me skip this because of time. Question 8. What is the budgeted overhead cost per unit of product D? I think I answered this question with you on the main course. I think so. Overhead cost. So it's all about the production setup, the inspection, and the other overheads. They are all brought together. So you've got to work all of them together and add up. All right. Then skip. Which 3 of the following statements about ABC and traditional costing systems are correct? Okay, let's do this one in 1 minute. Which 3 of the following statements about traditional costing systems, that's absorption and marginal costing, are correct? You've got to select 3. I will knock off C. I'll strike out C altogether. ABC is not suitable for using businesses that provide services. No, service businesses can also use ABC because they engage in activities also. C is out for me. I think I'll go for E. ABC is better than absorption costing in understanding what causes cost to be incurred. I'll go for that. Both ABC and marginal costing treat all fixed costs as product costs. No, marginal costing treats fixed costs as period costs. They don't charge you to product. So to say that both ABC and marginal costs treat all fixed costs as product costs is not true. So I've ruled out F, I've ruled out C. So I'll just go for my E. ABC is useful for businesses which have high overheads in their cost structure. I'll go for A also.